Alright guys, so I'm going to be driving here. I figured I would just crank this one out, make it a little convenient for me. So we just wanted to discuss some things about Instagram and fitness culture here. So there was an article I saw not too long ago, and it was about this porn star, actually, August Ames. But she was big on social media. She was very out there, and I guess had a big following. And I guess what happened was she had killed herself after going through some cyberbullying. But I'm sure there was a lot more to the story. But when they had found her, she was on antidepressants, anti-anxiety drugs, cocaine, marijuana, a whole host of things. And I don't think people are too surprised when they hear that a porn star maybe isn't the most mentally stable. But the reality is, you see that a lot with people on social media in general. I would say primarily women, but men as well. And that's just something I kind of wanted to circle back to regarding why you're doing this and the reasons you do it and what you get out of it. Because I think when you look at celebrities in general, people always say, I want to be like them, I want to look like them. But celebrities seem to be some of the most miserable people out there. And I've been shocked in the last few years the number of people who I found out to be depressed or have crazy anxiety or both. It's really kind of staggering how many people have some sort of mental issue there. And it's very normal if it's from an incident, a family member died or something like that. But I'm talking about people who are just going through their life like this, and it's primarily in women, but a lot of men too. And I think men just don't talk about it, or at least not nearly as much. But it's definitely there. And you see that a lot on social media. I mean, honestly, being a little bit more involved with social media and the podcast and the YouTube channel over the last year or so, I've got to talk to a lot of these people. We've had private conversations. I've met up with some of these people, and a lot of people are really upset, or I wouldn't even say like upset, but just kind of like low. They just have these like low periods, not necessarily for a reason. And you look at these people, and that's kind of the unfortunate thing about depression, is it's not logical. And you look at these people and they seem to have everything going for them. They're really attractive people, or they're well known, they have a big name, and they just seem to be super low. And there is data out there showing that a greater involvement in social media and being online seems to correlate with greater levels of depression. Now, I'm not saying that just by being online in general, you're going to be more depressed. I don't think that's true. But it does seem to be that the more people are on social media, the more that they are depressed. And again, I'm not saying necessarily causation, but we do see that correlation. And again, it is stronger in women, but it's there in men too. And I think a big part of that is putting these people on pedestals and saying like, well, I want to look like them, I want to be like them, they have everything great. When in reality, I was going to say you're seeing the highlights of their life, but a lot of times you're not even seeing the highlights of their life. You're seeing a fabrication of highlights of their life. And then, that's not even counting Photoshop and things like that. But a lot of this stuff isn't real. And so I know this is primarily a fitness channel, but it's also a health related channel. And this is a psychological health, aspect where you see these people who they kind of put on a show, and it's not that they're doing it maliciously, but they put it out there, and then other people put it out there, and everybody just thinks everything else is so great, and they start getting upset with themselves. And I think we're all kind of prone to this in fitness, where we want to look a certain way, and we all kind of have our superficial reasons for sure. I mean, I definitely have in the past, and it's less that now, but it's still there. We all like to get compliments, we all like the ego boosts, but I think there is definitely a danger when that becomes your focus, because you'll see people where, man, you get a compliment or two and it just makes their day, or they don't get a certain number of likes, or they don't get a comment, and it just ruins them. And that's really an unhealthy way to go about life. It's almost like the analogy being like, when you are a bodybuilder and you're obsessed with your physique in general, you go by one mirror and you look amazing and you're super confident. You go by another mirror and all of a sudden you're depressed. And I don't know if you guys saw the Evolution of the Fitness Chick by Dom Mazzetti with the Bro Science Life videos. I think his videos are pretty amusing, and he had that out recently, and honestly, he had it nailed down. And he was talking about how a lot of these girls, like, they're putting out these motivational posts, and meanwhile they're actually depressed. And it's not to say that you can't put that out there if you are depressed, but you should maybe be a little more forthcoming in that, like, you don't have your stuff handled, and like I said, I've met a lot of people, or I've talked to a lot of these people, and I'm shocked at how many of these people are depressed themselves, trying to post about how to be motivated all the time and how to be happy all the time. And it's a great message, but man, like, you're going to have other people thinking that everything in your life is great.
And you preach about inspiration and motivation, even though you just woke up from a 3-hour depression nap. You live and breathe fitness and a little bit of cocaine.
Not too long ago, I had a female friend who got into powerlifting, was talking about all the progress she was making, but the majority of her pictures were honestly just different angles than she used to be in person. She looked pretty similar. She would talk about happiness and being better, and she was severely depressed. I mean, she, like, self-harm level, and, you know, taking antidepressants, seeing a therapist. So you really don't know what is in these people's lives. And, you know, I have 2 other guy friends, both of them pretty successful people, you know, successful dating lives, but they are also depressed. And, you know, I hope this isn't like an overly negative video where people get upset listening to it. It's more just that you really don't know what's going on in people's lives when you look at this. And we see this one aspect of what we call fitness, which is largely just aesthetics, really. I mean, that's not what fitness should be, but that's what a lot of people consider fitness. And so I just kind of wanted to put this message out there that as somebody who has talked to a lot of these people, who have friends involved in it, you'd probably be surprised at how many people are not actually happy with themselves. And one example that I give, or I've given in the past, is if I just look at somebody like my brother, and my brother is not depressed at all. He's actually one of the least depressed people I know. But if you look at him when he was like 130 pounds, he was very, I guess, unaware of his build. You know, he just thought his body was fine. And then he got into lifting, and now he's like 180. He looks way better, and he's happy. He's happy that he made that change, but is he happier with his body? Not really, because we become aware. We're comparing now. All of a sudden, he's comparing to all these people he sees at the gym and magazines. And so I think you have to definitely step back and remind yourself of, like, no, where have I come from? You know, how much progress have I personally made, and not look at others. So again, I don't want this to get too ranty or holier than thou. I think this is something everybody struggles with. But like I said, I just wanted to comment on it after I saw that article, and I've talked to a few people who have really surprised me to see how unhappy they are with themselves despite the messages they put out there. So just something to consider. And I would be interested to hear if anybody else has noticed that same trend, or with people that they see on social media or in person, where they have an image that is very contradictory to how they really are.